Getting stuck. This is a super popular topic because a lot of people don't recognize like what stuck looks like, why it happens, and the big thing is how to get out of it. So what is being stuck? Basically, from the movie Wanted, every day is exactly the same. You could be experiencing less than what you want. You could be experiencing nothing of what you want. You could just be, again, repeating the same exact patterns every day where you start to get bored. Life can really seem mundane. And there's a purpose for stuck. Because if you didn't get stuck, you would never want to reach farther. You would never want to try more. You would never want to reach out. You would just stay using the same exact toolboxes in life. Because every single person up to a certain point in their life of progress uses a lot of similar tools. Because when you were younger and only thing you knew was Google, Gaga, Mama, Daddy, what did you keep doing? Gaga, and you just kept doing that. But as you got older, you started grabbing for more tools, you started getting more experience, you started being able to have different things that you could use to get what you want or to create things that you wanted. These things do not change as adults. For some odd reason, people will love a surprise but then hate a problem. The problem is people think they're not supposed to have problems. All the problem is a surprise, one that you didn't expect, which is a good thing. But getting stuck is not the problem, it's staying stuck. And that's why I wanted to do a quick broadcast to talk about this. Like, what is stuck? Stuck is you know that you can do better. You know there's more out there. You know that you could have way more. Maybe you're stuck on a skill set. Maybe you're stuck on not knowing the right people. Maybe you're stuck on finances. Maybe you're just stuck on some emotional setbacks. I am no king. I don't wear a crown on my head. I make sure I always say that because I get to have these things too. But what happens is I've got lots of different skills, lots of different skill sets that I use to get out of. And that's what I'm about to give you a couple of them. The first thing about getting unstuck is this. You have got to recognize, and I think I'm going to start immediately with hitting you in the gut first. How committed are you to getting around it? Like, how serious are you about getting around it? Have you really put everything on the line that you need to? Because I have done this many times with lots of different types of people in different, different places. It could be financial, it could be relational, it could be spiritual. It could be just the place of, I want to feel more love. You could just feel it, but you have to be committed to do it. Are you willing to fail to do it? Are you willing to try something else to do it, to get by this? Are you willing to just stretch yourself where it's going to even seem so crazy to you that you're doing this, but it's going to get you unstuck? Have you truly committed? And I'll be blunt and really honest with you. There's many times when I have been stuck, and when it all boiled down to it, it was at me. Yeah, you can blame circumstances. Every single person walking on this earth has something that they have to overcome. I don't care what it is. So we got to accept that fact, but you have got to realize in order for you to, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I recognize that not everything's in your control, but it could be how you're looking at it. So a big thing about getting unstuck is, one, making sure you're doing the things that you need to do. If you don't know the information and maybe you don't have access to a person who can share this information, how creative can you be? People forget the power of asking questions. You can get many things in life by asking the right questions. And I'm really careful about saying the word right questions, but that curiosity, especially if you're creative enough with it. I cannot tell you how many people that I have gone out to lunch or dinner with, and it might cost $100, $200, but it's significantly cheaper than meeting with them maybe in a one-on-one setting where, it's a private consult. But you got to be creative. You got to be curious. You got to be serious about it. And the second thing is you want to make sure, what is another way that I can do this? And a bonus tip, if you ever feel as though, hey, I'm not sure of the question, borrow someone else's brain to find the right question. It's a really simple thing to do. If let's just say you look at someone like James Bond, he's someone that I use often. James Bond might be cool, debonair, smooth, always knows what to do, calculated. He just has a lot of the things that you would love to have. And maybe if you could borrow a pinch or a little sprinkle of the way that he sees things, and now the way she or they see things now, because things have changed, not trying to ruin the movie, but that can give you just a little bit of leverage. How do you do that? If you know that he or she is that smooth and debonair and knows how to get things going and knows how to really carouse those situations to get what they want, start saying this to yourself. How would James Bond get out of this? What would he or she say? Got a call. What would they say? How would they handle this? By you kind of borrowing someone else's brain like that, you borrow also the way that they see things and make it cool, interesting. And honestly, make it look smoother than what it's going to be. Because the big thing about being unstuck is we tend to think it's going to be graceful as we get out of it. It's going to be graceful as we go through it. It ain't pretty. It is not pretty at all. Many times when you're getting unstuck. I'm a big gym guy. I'm big on being healthy and being in shape. But anybody who knows what I'm talking about, when you go to the gym and let's just say you got a bench and you're working on getting past your max, and your max at one point might have been 225, and then someone throws 285. Ridiculous to jump that high, but go with me here. Those first few times when you go down, it's all fear. I'm going to die. And, you could be thinking, I hope my spiders have got me. I hope I feel good. I hope my pre-workout's kicking in. You're in your head so crazy that you're not even thinking about it. So the first time, maybe the first 2 times, it's not pretty. You're like, and sure, the spiders might be helping. Sure, adrenaline might be pumping. But it's not pretty, but you get it. That's the big thing. Even with support, you get it. And going back to the real life metaphor about being getting unstuck, you're going to get it. You're going to have lots of support. And what I'm hoping that you're going to have just some things there that are not always going to be there, but it's what you need to create that belief system in you. Now back to the gym. Now that third time when you're like, okay, let me get it. I don't know why gym guys will always say that. Like, I got this one. We know damn well we ain't got it. But when that bar's going down, 285 pounds, you're shaking. You're like a leaf. You're looking like your blood sugar's low. I mean, it is not pretty. You got the ugly face. I mean, grimacing and gritting and grimacing and gritting. And then slowly but surely, you get it up. Boom, you rack it up. Now, depending on who you are, how you are, you might celebrate a little differently, but you still celebrate. You're like, hell yeah, I got it up. And if you got gym partners like I have, they say, well, I knew you could do it. Stop being a little punk for the rest of your life. Though you can't be a punk for your whole life or something like that, right? Because we kind of give that positive competition. But you did it. And now you did it by yourself. Another call. But now you start doing it by yourself. And so then you're like, oh man, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did this. And then you go do it one more time and you know the tank is empty, but you still have to prove it to yourself. And it's something that I tell my son all the time. Don't just do it once. You have to do it twice to make sure you know it wasn't an accident. And then boom, you get it up. It's still not pretty, but you get it up. But you get it up, right? Back to real life. You finally get unstuck. You finally practice again those things. Yes, you had support, and if you're maybe you practice being harder on yourself, you might say, man, well, the only reason why I was able to do X was walk up to that guy, walk up to that gal, apply to that job, go through that interview, maybe, introduce myself into some new friends in the neighborhood. Maybe it's about apply for that job, go for that mortgage. Just whatever it may be, you're going to say, I only did it because so-and-so helped me, or because they felt nice and because they felt kind. Because what you're really saying is, I can't believe it. When you go back and do that again, you walk up to that guy or gal, you go and maybe the first mortgage doesn't work out, but you still go back and do it again. You start realizing, man, I got this. It's the same thing. So get past being perfect when getting unstuck. Perfect will keep you stuck. A large amount of times, reason why you're stuck is because you're trying to be perfect and you're trying to reduce criticism, you're trying to reduce rejection, you're trying to make sure that you're still protected even as you succeed. And the last tip I want to tell you is this. If you're doing something of value, if you're doing something that maybe your peer group doesn't think you can do it, do not be expecting, or you don't even, I don't want to say this and it will come across as negative, but I am going to say it in a realistic way. I think people have gotten in the habit of deluding themselves so much of being gratitude. I mean, that does have a place, but you have to see the situation for what it is. You have to. Because at some point you got to realize that, hey, look, there is poop on the floor and it's got to get picked up. I don't care if I was like, I'm so gracious for the poop on the floor. No, go pick it up. It's poop. It's nasty. Let it be gone. But you got to realize when you're doing some things like that of great significance, it's going to challenge some people. It's going to let other people know that now it's on them. Because maybe you grew up in the same circumstances. Maybe you've been around in the same environments. Maybe you have the same financial problems. Maybe you had the same confidence issues. And that strikes people away. And expecting people to be excited for you, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful to have people celebrate you. It is so beautiful. But do not be surprised if some people are like, Don't be surprised. And it's not because you're a bad person or because there's nothing special about you. That's their own stuff. And I can talk about that another time. But getting unstuck is something that I want more people to start practicing more of. I know all of us were kind of sitting still for a couple of years, and some of us still are. But when I'm talking about, some of us are stuck and we need to break out of it. If you want some help, you already know what to do. Send me a message. I'll be happy to talk with you. Everything's confidential, and this one is on the house for you, just for watching this broadcast. It's on the house. I will take care of you. But get unstuck. Recognize that you're not the first person, and you won't be the last, that you can do this. It's not going to be pretty, and do not be surprised that people don't celebrate you, but also be surprised that you're going to have to start celebrating yourself. And people think that's a crazy concept. They might call it loving yourself. I mean, I'm a big fan of using language like that. I'm just a big fan of, celebrating you and celebrating the things you've done. But as you go on, first they're going to ask you, why did you do that? And then they're going to be asking you how. Go out there and go get it. Get unstuck. Do not. Be so careful. Practice imperfection. Be so careful. Perfect is poison. Now go out there and break some eggs and get past what's keeping you stuck. I'll see you tomorrow.